to have it done.
Mike 4.
Bobby Bach, branch 406. First of all, I'd like to thank the resident officers for holding this town hall meeting. We spoke a little bit earlier about a pit bull. Sometimes the post office likes to slap down the pit bull. I went to Tuesday, Wednesday for about a year. But on the, we spoke about litigation. We changed our law firm this year, and we had some other stuff that was in the pike with, as far as Greensboro and other litigation. How can you talk a little bit about our new law firm so we know who they are and stuff, please?
Our law firm, DeMiro Ginsburg, and we're dealing with the attorney that we deal with all the time. His name is Ford Ladd. Very aggressive and hungry attorney. I think we just shared, we had a telecom with the Greensboro group. We met with our paid consultant and him the other day, and I would say they're very aggressive. We just need to keep them up, get them up to speed with postal lingos and things, but they're avid researchers. They brought things to me. They've already went back and got letters with Ledbetter and Reuben Hanneman to help the Greensboro issue. But I would like to maybe turn over to Ivan for a second to say your impression of our law firm, Ivan. And then Richard was on the telecon also.
Thank you. We had a telecon on Thursday afternoon with Mr. Ladd, and he was very informative, very much a 180 from our last law firm. And as far as our Greensboro issue, I think we will be able to get it resolved. He's willing to do the research. He's willing to look at some of the past corporate practices and try to incorporate that. He gave us some direction as NAPS officers on what we need to do to kind of support the issue. So I think we will see a good resolve out of this, and I appreciate the resident officers in kind of taking that lead of finding us a new law firm.
Thank you. But we have, I think, an excellent law firm to represent. It's really about 4 lawyers in that law firm that we'll deal directly with, but Ford Ladd is our lead attorney that we have investigating everything that we need to know. Oh, yeah, Richard.
Sure. Really, this is my first involvement with this type of issue. I'm a new board member, but I was very excited to hear, the representative from that law firm talk about the different materials that we needed to provide. And also, I just wanted to thank John Jeter for also being on the telecon and being able to provide information from, that's been something John's been working on long-term, him, Rodney, and the membership down there in Greensboro. And we're definitely looking to get a resolve because those members down there deserve representation. We represented them when they were working in the districts, and we're going to represent them now that they've decided to move them all into one facility in Greensboro. So our goal is definitely to represent our EAS members who are down there.
Good, thank you. Pass that on to John Jeter, and he may have a few words because John brought up some great ideas and leading the work on Greensboro right there on the telecon. So you may want to give your impression, John. Give that mic turn back there. Or you can, Mary, you mind step? There we go.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think that these, John Jeter, former Capital Atlantic Area Vice President. The law firm, I believe, will be a good one for us. The information that they required is some information that I'd already gathered. NAPS headquarters already have it. And just based on the dialogue with Ladd, I think Greensboro is going to look pretty good, as well as any other problems that might come out of what they were talking about. Based on what they were talking about, our attorneys, that is, they were leaning toward the non-supervisory role as being a craft employee, which may have some repercussions with other analysts and specialists that we have that don't supervise people. So they're looking at some good things, and I think it's going to be beneficial not only to Greensboro, but to some other areas that the Postal Service might want to look at as far as trying to include them in that 800 jobs that the craft might get. That's all. Thank you.
One thing on the, when we were talking with the attorney, and Richard brought up a good point, was, with the craft and the EAS, is how they apply for jobs was a key thing on going through e-careers and how the process is for getting promoted. compared to just a craft employee bidding and how they go to Greensboro. So that was one of the key points that, even though you think an attorney knows it all, he got a lot of good information from that telecon. I thought that kind of perked him up, and thought that was a good point to make.
Microphone 2.
Hey, J.R. Bourne Branch, 406, Central Florida. I was recently involved in a town hall meeting back in Central Florida. It's going on all over the Suncoast District. They've been very positive meetings. They've been gathering a lot of good ideas. One of the things that was brought up at the meeting on the retail side was that we're losing approximately $2 a package on every package of parcel post. And it was stressed that there's also been a big swing from priority mail and express mail to parcel post over the last couple of weeks and months, as they've gone from the perfect transaction scenario in the aforementioned mystery shopper program. And the implication being that now that we're not asking express mail and priority mail first, therefore people are using parcel post. They didn't have any actual data to show that, but accepting that at face value, my questions are, why are we making such an effort to deliver parcel post within a district overnight so that customers have no reason to use priority mail or express mail? And number two, why isn't parcel post cost more money if we're losing money on every package?
I think, Jack, that would be a great question for Pat Donahoe to answer tomorrow. You know, wait, Mary may have some insight into that.
Yeah, I can help you a little bit because we do have a rate case that gets implemented. Mary Burkhardt, Branch 244. But we do have a rate case that's being implemented here in April that's going to make up for some of that price differential. And the pricing is based on an average. It's based on a per dollar spent per product. And it's absolutely right. I don't know if it's that much per piece, but it's about 4 cents per dollar that we lose on on parcel post. Priority mail, we make something like 46 cents a dollar. So that's to show you a difference in what's a moneymaker and what isn't. So I don't know how they do the costing. That's one of the things that the PRC I've brought to their attention before, because we do the same handling on all of these pieces of mail. And when there's extra space in all of our vehicles, we throw all of the parcel post on it. So you're getting about the same type of service.
Thank
anyway,
you, Mary. Yeah.
do I have
now,
to
now you're gonna
re-identify
ask me.
myself? No, it's
We're going to
my
actually
turn.
ask your question now.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to talk about supervisors and EAS working extra hours that are uncompensated. This is an issue throughout the Postal Service, and I know what we always tell people is, well, stand up, identify yourself, but the reality is they're targeted. It's what I call TT&T. They target you, they terrorize you, and then they try to terminate you the minute you speak up. Nowadays, we really don't have extra jobs for that. No one wants to compromise their livelihood. So I come to you with the solution, like Jay was saying. In fact, I was talking to him about this last night. I think we need to have the postmasters certify each week when they do their tax that every EAS hour was compensated. Every hour work was compensated. It would go under SOX compliance. It would be something that they're doing already to certify with SOX, and it would be a Lean Six Sigma initiative. Because in order to know what products and services you have and what we're doing on a daily basis, you need to know what your cost basis is. And with EAS working for free, it is truly falsification, and that's one of the reasons we're being run over and we're losing jobs. Because every time we lose a job, I tell people, I don't know if I'd want to be the one that lost my job or the one left behind doing 2 jobs, because none of the work goes away. And that's what I want Mr. Donahoe to tell us. Where did the work go? Is that something that you could bring to their attention
Yeah, I
to
think it's
certify?
excellent right off the cuff. I don't have any problems with that. It seems like, how do we implement it? We need to look into it and see how we get postmasters to do something.
They certify already. It would be under penalty of law. If they're not lying or falsifying, what's the problem?
To me, it seems like a good idea that we could use.
And that way, our people don't have to stick their necks out because it's not an environment in which to do so.
Yeah.
Mary,
It-
if I could touch on that, I did have a discussion with Mary about that last night. I think that's an item that we'll discuss at the board meeting this week, and we'll see what the best way would be for us to make that recommendation to the Postal Service, because it is a valid point under SOX compliance that, you know, the work hours as stated are correct.
And Lean Six Sigma, Mr.
Right.
Donahoe loves it.
Yeah. All right, we'll be discussing that, and you'll be seeing something in the minutes of the meeting on that.
I appreciate
Whatever
it.
we end up coming with a resolve, all right?
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mary.
Thanks for that solution, Mary. That's good. We'll try.
Microphone 4.
Mac Littles, Branch 35, Philadelphia. How you doing? Basically, I just want to thank the Executive Board for this afternoon's interfaith worship service. For those of you who were not here, you missed a wonderful treat. Again, I want to thank Richard and Nancy Wesley for the message that she brought forth. These are trying times, and having an interfaith worship service today was an excellent way to start off our LTS, because I firmly believe the family that prays together stays together.
Thank you, Mac.
Microphone, we had a person sneak up to microphone number 2.
I'll defer, and then you can come back to me. She was here before I was.
All right, Michelle.
Michelle Kolecki. Michelle
have-
Kolecki, Branch 355. Hi.
Are you imitating
I don't know how to
me?
mess with this. Anyway, they're happy.
Bring it up. There you go.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay. Straightforward questions. Number 1. Michelle Kolecki, Branch 355, State of Pennsylvania. Has headquarters provided 204B work hours to our national executives? Ever?
Have they
Nationwide.
gave us the numbers?
The full report, nationwide, ever.
I believe one time that I've seen it, that there was exposed how many 204B hours, and they equated to some astronomical number like 8,000 and something. That if we converted those into work hours, that would be 8,000 positions. Now, again, this is prior to 2006 when we had volume of mail.
Have we requested that same report since all of this snowballing RIF, avoidance, repositioning, restructuring, all those wonderful words they like to put in there, while we're doing consolidations and directed reassignments, and, you know, our EAS are being cultural shocked with their work positions, because, I mean, we're not just talking customer service to processing or processing to customer service. We're talking 27 years of service in customer service and then being shoved on a Tour 1 shift in a matter of 30 days, okay? That's a significant change in your lifestyle.
Very dramatic.
Very dramatic. So have we gotten an updated report since before 2006 on 204B hours nationwide?
We have not, but we can request one.
We need-
And it's bad to say now we're going to do that because of the agreement. We were going to do that when they come up with this no 204Bs less than 14 days that's in the tentative APWU agreement. That issue was requested as a report because we need to find out more about it. We will request it, Michelle.
What is the required time element for notification for the Postal Service to notify our NAPS executives on any significant changes that are targeted, such as jobs, wages, positioning, like we're going through now? Is it a 60, 90, 120-day notification before the change occurs, or are we still continuing to get notified the day of the change and then we're running to catch up?
They're doing better, but the requirement is that if there was any consulting pay changes or work hour changes, new programs and all these things, they're required to notify us, and I've been saying notify, brief us. We have a 60-day period to require and let them know what we think of the positions. Within that 60 days, it goes back and forth. At the end of 60 days, they make the decision and let us know what's going to happen.
So have you been made aware of, as our representatives at the executive level, of the 25th of this month, what's coming down? So then they're not informing our national executives of the significant changes that are coming next Friday, that we should all are stressed out about?
We are very stressed out, believe me. We have no idea. I shouldn't say no idea. We've heard a lot of rumors.
Well, common
Some
sense.
of it, but we have not been briefed about the 25th.
Common sense would say the top three
The-
things: possible
yeah.
VERA, potential rifts, obvious consolidation, restructuring
Yeah,
of our
the
facilities.
PCs, all of them are meeting in Chicago this coming Wednesday, and they're going to be briefed for what and the structure. Bryant, Jay, and myself will be up at headquarters this Tuesday at 1:30, receiving a briefing, not specific of what's going to happen, but how it's going to be held. The RIF procedures, things, are they going to bid jobs? All the information that's associated with the specifics that's going to happen on the 25th, we'll be briefed on it, so we'll know exactly how to handle it. We'll come back, we'll have the board there.
Michelle, before you go on, if I could add just a few points. Under the provisions of Title 39, once they notify us that they're going to make any changes that have a relationship to Title 39, they cannot be implemented for a period of 60 days.
60 days.
So now, we have an opportunity, once the 25th rolls around, we expect them to give us a timeline. And the timeline has to be longer than 60 days before anybody is actually impacted. You go back, case in point, we have a person on our executive board that works in the southeast area. They announced that they were closing the southeast area. How long ago, Shiree? January 7th. They haven't done anything yet formally to notify anybody of the impacts. So the 60 days hasn't started on that. Even though they've announced it, they haven't announced what the impacts are. If there's going to be RIF avoidance or if they're just going to go to RIF, and we hear all the rumors. So we have 60 days to review. Now, in the past, when the Postal Service has instituted change, we do not automatically just say, well, you can't do anything for 60 days. We look at what the changes are. And if we need to invoke our right to hold this up for 60 days, or if the change appears to be proper and they're doing it according to Hoyle and all the rules are being followed, the process does continue. But we have to make sure the process is open and that the rules are followed. So on the 25th, if we could grind everything to a halt and say you can't do anything for 60 days, and we're ready to do that if that's what we need to do. But we don't have any preconceived notions that we're going to have a lawyer in on Monday. We're going to review it, what it is. We're going to consult with the executive board, and then we're going to determine what the best course of action is. And I think that our past history, we've been successful in this process. And when 2009, we were at the spring board meeting when they announced a major restructuring, and they were going to change maintenance. And when we looked at it, it couldn't pass the lab test, and we had it stopped for over a year because we invoked our rights under Title 39. Same thing happened when they did the 3,000 position restructuring in 2009 in operations. The attorneys were running it in the beginning, and we dug in our heels, and then they pushed the attorneys to the side. We put our attorneys to the side, and we worked on a solution where, if you remember, they changed the rules in preceding rounds that people could apply for positions. All those enhancements that the resident officers and the executive board worked on through the feedback we got from the field to make sure that everyone had their rights and the process was open to everyone. And everyone knew what their rights were and their rights were protected. We plan on using that same type of system this time. This will be tougher because there's more people impacted and there are fewer landing zones. But we're going to have an open process, and we want, as I said earlier in my standing remarks, we all have to keep our eye out for each other. All right?
All right, and one final question. With the SWIX formula and the severe impacts that are occurring in our customer service offices, we find, and I have a couple cases that they're coming around with the same thing. That's why I'm bringing up this issue. Do more with less. And then we have 12, 13, 14-hour days, 2-hour lunches, okay, so that we are actually being utilized as PTF rather than EAS. And then your route inspections, which is a requirement, I'm still getting feedback that they're using POVs, even though in the consultative minutes, the law office from the United States Postal Service stated, I can't do it verbatim, but I know I can see what I read, that if they don't give you a government car, then the job doesn't get done.
Exactly.
To enforce that, I am asking for a memorandum to come down from Megan Brennan stating that fact. Someone at a higher level, just like all the memorandums that have come down before, because when I argue this, one of the most common questions I get from the person I'm sitting across the table is, show it to me in writing. Show it to me in writing. I want it in writing, not I want the consultative minutes where it's stated there, transitioned into an actual directive. Okay, that's what I want, so that I have the ammunition in the trenches to say, here it is in writing. Now, if you choose to ignore this, then I push it to my national leaders, and whatever consequence comes down, it comes down, okay? But you've been notified, you're put on notice. It is in writing, okay? So you need to give my members a government car to perform postal duties, okay? That's what you need to do. You want us to be aggressive, that's how I can be aggressive and still be professional and politically correct. There it is. You need to follow it. The other issue is with doing more with less and cutting the staffing. It wasn't so bad in the past when I talked to my members that are impacted with this issue because they worked as a team. I'm going on vacation next week, could you please cover me, okay? You're going on vacation the following week, I'll cover you. Now, they're required to find their own coverage. The problem is, there is no coverage. It doesn't exist. And I don't want to hear about, well, I guess I have to listen to it, in the Elm where, you know, if it's not, and I don't even know the word. I know I read it, but I can't verbatim it. But they're saying that they can pull back our leave when it's convenient. That's not acceptable. I'm a human being. I'm entitled to my time off. You expect me to give 120%? I expect something back in return. That's called dignity and respect of my professional contribution. And I expect to have my time off with my family. But now it's getting down to the point where they have to cover themselves and they're not getting any help because there is no coverage out there. That needs to be taken to the next board meeting. It's going to be a serious health impact to our EAS. It's going to be a safety issue. They're you know, working these 12, 13, 14 hours. They may have been methodically and detail-oriented before, but when you become sleep drunk and you have to make that critical decision, and it's the wrong critical decision, who's it coming down on? The person they're beating into the ground. Thank you.
Michelle, I appreciate those comments, and we are going to look into those. The board's all here. They heard you. Ben Clapp is up there all ears. He knows what's going on.
Microphone number 4. We're going to try to keep the order 2, 3, and 4 because it's difficult for us to figure out who ran to the microphone first, so we'll just keep that order, okay? We broke the order for you last time, Joe.
He was a gentleman.
You were a gentleman.
He gave it up to Michelle.
Number 4 and then 2.
John?
Okay, John Lumber, Branch 103, San Antonio, Texas. A couple, 3 months ago, during consultative, you read our resolution that we sponsored about trying to get a process in place to take care of corrective action for us to have some kind of power to fight back. Today, you start out mentioning, we heard about the stewards that are pit bulls that go out there and start dictating to us. The thing that wasn't mentioned is that they can do that because there's a contract, there's a DRT process, there's an arbitrating system that allows them to do that. They know they can get correction. Us as NAPS members, as NAPS advocates, we don't have that process. We have a huge problem of saying, okay, this is wrong, but how can we correct it? Our NAPS members, the people that aren't members, realize that and said, look, you have no power. You can't really help us. So that's why they're fearful of speaking up, because I've had a lot of people come up to me and say, my manager did this to me. My manager, one of the things, when we talked about writing, there's a letter out there from NAPS headquarters about no corrective action for mystery shopper. I can tell you, 1 week, 40 people in Rio Grande got mystery shopper letter warnings. They know the letter, it's out there, they don't care. And we sit there and say, what can we do? I can bring it to the managers, I can bring it to the district manager. District manager already said in the meeting, I don't care. NAPS is not going to like this, the league's not going to like this, NAPES is not going to like this. We're still going to do it anyway. So what I'm saying, with that consultative, did they decide they're going to do anything with it? And if not, what can we do so we can get a process, give power to our NAPS representatives out there so that people will sit there and say, you know what, I better deal with this now, because if I don't, it's going to go to a level and then something's going to happen.
To respond to that issue on the 650 process, last year, NAPS had a meeting with the Postal Service and the people who managed the 650 process. And we made a series of recommendations to make changes in 650 that are under consideration by the Postal Service now, including the establishment of dispute resolution teams under 650 for EAS employees. Now, that position, should they accept the proposal that we gave them, that would be not a full-time position, hopefully, because there shouldn't be enough EAS discipline to create a full-time dirt team. So it's our expectation that, and the Postal Service actually was pretty surprised with some of the proposals that we made to make the 650 process fair. And that's all we're looking for is fairness, so that if a manager in the heat of battle writes someone up for something and then they dig their heels in, that some other body would have to review it and to determine if it was valid. We've met in the hallway a couple of times with the 650 people in the past, say, 8 months, and talked to them informally about some of the things that they're doing. But one of the bad things about headquarters is when they get into the mode that they're in now, all productive work ceases to happen. And nobody can do anything because of the cuts, and nobody can do anything because of this, and nobody can do anything because of that. We're hoping, and we're going to push the window when this restructuring is announced and it rolls out, we have an expectation that whatever EAS vacancies are left will not be vacant, that they're going to fill those jobs. Whatever jobs are left are going to be filled. And if the staffing's not adequate to give people annual leave, we're going to have to deal with it. If we can't use an APWU member for less than 14 days on higher level, we actually think that might be a good thing for us, because now we can establish positions for coverage. Should people have to find their own replacements when they want to take a vacation, otherwise they can't get annual leave? We don't think so either. And there are a number of items that we are going to have in our pay consultations that address those issues.